Global Esports' first season at the upper echelon of Valorant has been, so to say, a bittersweet one. While we saw some disappointing moments where the team could not stand up to their potential, we also saw some great moments where they almost beat some of the best teams around, winning some good games and showing us what they're capable of. Global Esports' season officially ended with their unnerving loss to RRQ at the VCT Pacific LCQ, where we saw them play a bit off from their usual. Leaving individual tendencies aside, the day itself seemed to be an off one for GE. It was a really tough loss to swallow for not just the team but the thousands of fans who believed that we might just push through in LCQ, at least till the semi-finals. But it wasn't meant to be. A day to forget, but also a day that reminded us what we've already known from when this roster was created. That this team wasn't made to be a one-season wonder. It was built to last longer. Even the owners and management of GE had iterated a long time ago that they did not expect anything big from their first season, just hoped for the best. And I'm sure most of us knew too that GE was not going to be pulling off any miracles in their first stint at the Pacific. So what now? What is next for Global Esports? Now this is a question that is being thrown around by every Indian Valorant fan out there because everyone wants to know, are there going to be any roster changes? Will SK Rossi be benched or replaced? Will Lightning Fast enter the playing five? Will there be any role changes? Will we see some new players come in? A lot more. We've already seen just a few days ago that Eraser has left Global, which means that we will be seeing a new head coach soon. So right now, a lot of questions and no answers. Now, while we wait for those answers and we may not know what happens until Global officially announces it themselves, what we can do is maybe predict what they can do if the player pool isn't changed. We've got our playing six of Monnier, Aaron, SK Rossi, Bazzi, Texture and Lightning Fast. What could be the next season if this doesn't change? Let's throw in some ideas. Number one would be building back the confidence of SK Rossi, but maybe in a more conserved role. We saw Rossi start the year playing as an initiator, which clearly was uncomfortable for him. He has that spark in him to take fights confidently, but unfortunately, he's been on the losing side of those fights more so than he's been on the winning side. When he changed back to take over the duelist role, we did see some pretty good spikes from him. The Icebox map against Paper X was one to show how good he really is on his day, but the consistency is lacking. Maybe one of the better changes that could come around is Rossi exploring the option of playing the Sentinel, a role that doesn't require extensively large usage of utility during the mid rounds and is a great agent to set yourself and your teammates up for kills during defense. This role would also help him probably understand the skill of patience and finding the right time to peak alongside understanding how to get yourself an advantage during a fight, instead of taking a head-on 50-50. I think if SK Rossi learns to play the Killjoy and the Cypher, he'd genuinely do really well and it would blow up the team's morale as well. He's like an angry young man who loves winning his duels with the Jet and taking fights head-on with full confidence. But I think as a player, if he has to evolve, he should be learning the role of a sentinel and being effective with patience as his virtue. Why, you'd ask? Because this team was built with all the duelist mains that they could find, and everyone had to relearn their ways of playing this game due to role changes. And that in turn led us to discover the monster that Monnier is on the controller. I think he should remain as he is, and the team should probably work around his pivot as the controller. He's the most impactful player on Global and deserves to be continuing to play the way he wants to. To push through, I think Texture should move back to the primary Jet role as his versatility is unmatchable. He's one of the best Jet players in the Pacific and his impact has been massive for the team that he did play the agent. Aaron is a flex who could overthrow the opposition with his brain, but because he too was amidst the role changes, he couldn't lead the team in the direction that he had hoped to. But I believe that him on the flex as a secondary initiator role would be good because he's a beast on that KO. He could also pick up that secondary controller role on his hand when required, but there is something else that also needs to be addressed. Bazzi and Lightning Fast. Now, Bazzi is the main initiator of the team, we know that. But I believe with the potential of this lineup, Global Esports has the chance to make themselves one of the Pacific's best and first fully functional 6-man rotational squads. I know it's crazy. Having a set playing 5 is what's needed, but hear me out. This, of course, is just my opinion, but think if this became the personality of Global Esports, where they are the first team in the world who have managed to successfully work a 6-man squad so fluently where they can swap anyone in and out for every map they play, where they work multiple setups, multiple strats with the team adapting to the swaps between Bazi, Lightning Fast and SK Rossi. Lightning Fast is a great flex player with incredible mechanical prowess. He's good with sentinels, controllers and even as a secondary duelist if needed. Bazi plays the primary initiator, which can also be taken over by Aaron as well because he plays that role well too. Aaron can also switch up to the sentinel role when we might need a double controller and let Lightning Fast step in for Rossi and Bazi sticks to the initiator. Monnier will just be Monnier and Texture will lead with firepower. In case of a double duelist, both Rossi and Lightning Fast can pick up the secondary agent based on the map and agent preference and play only and only for that badge of Global Esports first and themselves next. This is just a flow of thought or speculation that I came up with as someone who watches a lot of Valorant, having the experience of being a caster, analyst and simply just being a fan of this team and the sport. Yes, they need a lot of work. They've had some pretty bad moments, but which team doesn't? Especially one that is this diverse. I believe that this team has a special personality that can be developed that no other team can match at this stage. I believe if they work in the right direction for the next 6 months, this team will make it to the playoff next season and not just that, even scare some of the better teams right now. Whatever comes next, I hope Global Esports find their groove, whether it's this way or any other way, because they truly have what it takes to keep fighting.